All right, welcome into the Illini Inquirer Podcastt. It's Jeremy Werner, Mike LaTulip. We're recording this the day of Illinois taking on Colgate, but we wanted to get Mike's thoughts. Mike LaTulip's thoughts on a huge win for Illinois against Texas Tech. What a game, what an atmosphere at State Farm Center, and a big win for Brad Underwood's program. Says a lot, Mike, that they get this win without Tomislav Ivisic, but a big week for the Big Ten with Illinois beating Texas Tech and Purdue beating Alabama last night, man.
Yeah, huge. I think I felt like the Big Ten was going to be one of the top conferences, if not the top conferences. Trotter and I have talked about that for a while now, and you just saw the first two games from Purdue, and you thought even without Trakoff and Wren, it was kind of concerning, and how they struggled on the glass, and what was that going to look like? And then they out-rebounded Alabama by 24 last night, went on the road, and everything's back to status quo, and they're the best team in the country. Blah, 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 blah. That's just, we're right back. So, and then just watching Michigan and seeing kind of what you envision for this conference, seeing some of that come to fruition. And then obviously Illinois, I think people are starting to wake up to Illinois as well. And this win, I think, needed to happen. And then if you follow it up now I think now you really got people's attention. So it's exciting.
Yeah, I'll ask you your thoughts about Alabama. Huge win for them, last week, and then to follow it up with a home loss to Purdue. What you think about that matchup? But let's focus on that Texas Tech. Yeah. What did this win against that team, Mike, with that player, JT Toppin, say about this Illinois team?
It said a lot of things, but I think the two things that stuck out to me the most were, first, getting down 7-0 right to start the game. Toppin's onslaught to start the second half, and I didn't sense any panic from this group. Guys didn't start pressing or getting out of character. And I think that's a sign of a team that knows they're good. And I don't say that in a boastful way, right? Like they don't play like braggadocious or whatever you want to call it. But there's in a way like that, they don't fray when adversity hits. And granted, it's still early, but I've just sensed an even keel demeanor from this team from the Illinois State exhibition. And when you know you're good, you play with a little bit more conviction in what you do. You play with a little bit more decisiveness on both ends. And I thought that showed. Obviously, whatever it was, 9-minute stretch to start the second half was not what you want to see defensively, but the way they pivoted, that's really the second thing it showed me, was just how many, you can call it pitches. This team has a lot of pitches that they can throw at you, both offensively and defensively. So their ability, I think, to in this game in particular, whether it was matchup hunting offensively or just the switch to get them off kilter, putting Kylan on JT Toppin, the ability to identify and then execute, I thought was really high level for this early on. Super impressive.
Yeah, and it's a win you need, right? In March,
yeah,
you want to be a highly ranked team, a highly seeded team, and it's one of them that I feel like you needed to have, Mike, because I don't think they're getting all of them, right? In this non-conference and at home against a ranked opponent. It's nice to see that. It's nice to see that this team, even though it's still coming together without its best player, is able to take care of business and win a tough game like that.
Yeah, look, I mean, the Tennessee game last year, it's just, and I don't always want to do the whole last year's team, this year's team, but you can see the contrast a little bit. This is an older group. I think Wagler and Mirkovic just allow them to play a certain way. They're, even the role guys this year too, especially in big games like that. Dude, I thought Hummerkaus was awesome. I know that the points weren't there, but he was so good on the glass. He was great defensively. What he allows them to do when he can slide to either the 3 or slide to the 4, he was in a lot when Kylan was on JT Toppin. So you need to have guys on the backside that are smart and that can cover. But like the way that these role guys, Jake Davis and Hummerkaus, they don't have a turnover this season, either of them. It's just, what that allows you to do with your main guys, your main players, is just go hunt, like both offensively and defensively. And I think look, the challenges are going to continue. Like there's no surprise there. I mean, I looked at Alabama's schedule too. I mean, I think they go St. John's, Purdue, Illinois, Gonzaga. Like that's like an NCAA tournament, like Sweet 16 and on.
Brad and Nate Oates have a lot of similarities, offense, scheduling wise.
They do. And so, look, I think you're going to see Texas Tech. I liked your ability to match up with them physically. I think Tennessee is going to present a different challenge in terms of just how they operate defensively. I think Alabama is going to test your transition defense. I think UConn's going to test your ability to navigate screens off ball with the way that their offensive system is set up. So, like, you're going to get to December and already, I think, know a lot about both sides of the ball. And that's the point of scheduling like this.
All right. I couldn't help but think of Billy Madison. And I'm glad I called that guy when Andrej Stojakovic in his second game in an Illini uniform has that type of performance. Mike, 23 points on 13 shots, and as big of an impact defensively with 3 steals, 2 blocks, most of that coming in the second half. I mean, I that's why they got him, Mike. But what did he show you in that game for his second game to play 26 minutes and make that impact?
Yeah, you touched on it. I think the vision came to life in terms of what you expected from him. And look, like, we'll talk about the timely buckets and the never-ending ability to get downhill and pressure the rim. And but I talked all offseason about the type of defender he can be. And to see it this early in this game against those guys, that 2-man game specifically, it stabilized them in a moment that they really needed it in the first half. Just him being able to come in, use his length, uses his tracking ability. I mentioned it, like his ability to come back in with those rear view contests and drop coverage. That was part of what won them the game. And so Christian Anderson, that's a NBA player. I mean, that's a guy that can be a first rounder this year. And he had 19 free throw attempts in his first 2 games, 0 in this game, season high in turnovers, season low in points. And Stoyakovich had a major impact on that. So it made all the difference. And I think he made the comment after the game too. And I just think I love hearing that. We know he didn't play in front of like a ton of big crowds at Cal and
unless it was like Cameron Indoor or something like that.
Right. On the road. But like when having that at home and I was just so impressed with his ability to just kind of seize the moment and coming off the bench and coming back from injury and still feeling like it was almost apex Stoyakovich, despite him still kind of knocking some cobwebs off. Right. And so, look, it's going to be game dependent in some ways. Like this was a game that I think really lends itself to, Texas Tech wants to take away threes. They'll allow you to get into that matchup hunting, and that's exactly what Stoyakovich and this group was able to do. And then you're going to have other games, like I think about a Nebraska, like some of these teams that full rotate and gap up and stuff. And so, and Nebraska wants you to shoot 43s. And so how does he fare in those type of games in the half court? He's always going to have the transition ability. And if they can continue to turn teams over, that's going to unlock him to where the half court stuff is going to matter even less. So I was I mean, how could you not be? It felt like every time he bucket there in the second half, he was tremendous.
It's why I kept saying, like, he is so important to them because he gives them that different option, right? Where you don't have to rely on threes. If you do have a defense that presents itself like that, running you off the 3-point line, you have somebody who can take advantage of smaller defenders like a Marcus Damask or a Will Riley did, right? And then defensively, Mike, to have another guy with Kylan. I mean, you put Kylan on JT Toppin, which is insane. We'll talk about, but you have another guy who can kind of shut off Christian Anderson. Like, he just gives them something they didn't have otherwise. So you could see it all there.
And it's that trio of guards and wings. I mean, Keaton, we'll get to Keaton, but like what he allows them to do, both Kylan and Andre defensively, it makes me recalculate how I think about this team defensively. Now, the really interesting thing is if Tommy was healthy for that game, I'm sure that they might make that change still, but aren't you probably erring on the side of keeping Tommy on the floor?
Yeah.
Right. So like, that's just it's interesting to think about that, where like the absence of Tommy kind of forced them to make that switch. I don't know. It's like a sliding doors type.
It was
type
almost like a blessing in disguise because they were able to kind of change that thing. But
I don't want to say it was like a blessing that Tommy was out, but like it's interesting to think about. Like they took Zvonimir off the floor, went a little bit smaller, and I mean, but look, I mean, back to the point with Dre. It reminds me a lot of like when Terrence Shannon would really get cooking defensively on like Jameer Young, and his a bit like refusing to get screened, getting back in the play, tracking down those rear view contests, block shots. I mean, if you do the freeze frame of how much separation Christian Anderson had on that three, you would feel like it's impossible for Stoyakovich to track that down. And he's springy. I don't think he gets enough credit for how athletic he is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's like breathtakingly athletic.
Can we give Brad a lot of credit? Sometimes we think he's like off-season hyperbole. He nailed that one. He nailed the athleticism and defense of Andrej Stojakovic.
Yeah, I know he's right. When you see time and time again, like, holy cow, he just got by his guy again. Oh man, that looks like he's playing in a phone booth now. Still slid through the gap, still kind of split the gap help. Like he finished over the top of Toppin because he can rise high enough to get that angle over. Like that's I think, and everybody watching the people watching that game did not watch the Florida Gulf Coast game. Most likely the national people, and they're like, oh yeah, Andrej Stojakovic. It didn't look like this when he checked into the game in Florida Gulf Coast. So it's like the improvement from game to game, I thought, and how settled in he looked comparatively was pretty cool.
I want to ask you about the defense, the switch they made, everything Cam Crocker threw at Texas Tech. But can we start here with Kylan Boswell? Just how is he different than last year, Mike? Because he certainly looks different.
Yeah, defensively, he has a better group around him, which I think allows him to just go hunt. And he's causing more turnovers than his numbers would suggest. I mean, I think Stoyakovich got 2 steals last night or in that game that were really triggered from Kylan making JT Toppin feel uncomfortable. He's got a great connection with Cam Crocker, which I think is important. I mean, it's very similar to a quarterback OC, having guys that, and I'm sure it's great for Cam too, because you just have a quarterback of the defense out there that you can trust. And it sounds like they had kind of come together to really make that decision, and knowing that he's guarded Cooper Flagg and knowing that he's guarded Danny Wolf and he's done it before. And now JT Toppin, I mean, JT Toppin is ridiculous.
Awesome.
Like he is, I know Braden Smith's going to be up there, but he's going to be right there for National Player of the Year.
Can you tell me how does he do what he does? Like how is he so good at this?
It's obviously he gets to the right shoulder, left hook. I mean, it's some of the stuff we saw Kofi do. Yeah. But the thing that stands out to me the most about JT Toppin is there's guys at that size that have that ability that don't have that motor. That is what separates him. He is like a warrior. And every single time he doesn't get bored with the consistency of the 2-man game and just getting to winning that matchup of once you throw that ball back to me in the short roll and I get a straight line drive. If you return anywhere that is not directly in front of me, I'm scoring every time. And then that's really what we saw. And then he's got this innate ability with his off arm. I mean, he never gets called for it, but like the arm bar that he has that he can extend, and he's going to have a place in the NBA more than like a Janai Broom, because he just has that other side to him that he can turn into. If he's not a throw it into him 20 times a game guy in the NBA, which he won't be, he can be like a fly around Jared Vanderbilt, like guard you. I think there's even more in there for what he can be as a pro. So that's what makes it all the more impressive. How you're never going to be like, hey, we held JT Toppin to 2 for 11 from the field and 8 points, but you need to win stretches of the game, and they won that stretch of the game with Kylan.
Yeah. Kylan also 12 free throw attempts, Mike. Like
Yeah.
he is doing what we wanted him, just the assertiveness, the using his strength, and just being aggressive. Like he's an alpha right now, on both sides of the court, isn't he?
He is. And I think his ability to make shots right now off the bounce too. I think if he can continue to punish drop coverage like this, that is going to open up this offense even more, because teams are still kind of going under, and he's shooting 57% off the bounce from three. He shot 23% on 102 attempts last year. So is it sustainable to shoot 57% from three, considering how many he's going to shoot off the bounce this year? It's not, but if he ends the season high 30s, low 40s, which I think he can off the bounce because he's just got such a good base and it's very repeatable. Yeah, I mean, just think about what that does for him attacking long closeouts, getting even more free throws. You can use him as a screener more because you have the threat of his shooting, and what that does for maybe like a Mirkovic and some of their like chin action back screen stuff that they have towards the top of the key. And Kylan was able to get the and one from the Mirkovic pass off of that late in the game. But Stoyakovich, you just open up more driving lanes and space for all these guys. So we talk about his impact defensively, but offensively too. He's settling in, getting the line. And that's only going to help. I mean, Dre's going to get to the line too. That's going to make you a top offense in the country.
Yeah, I love that he kind of struggled in those first three possessions, 2 missed shots, got blocked once, had a turnover, and then bang, bang. It's 2 threes, gets him right back in the game.
Yeah.
That the defense got torched by an All-American, right? Like that's going to happen, Mike. But I mean, they just threw the kitchen sink. Like Cameron Crocker threw a lot of different stuff, and then to throw Boswell on there. And it was just those few turnovers of possessions that those are the moments. Again, I don't want to keep comparing to last year, but it's what we have, a sample size. It felt like those were the stops they didn't get, those turnovers they didn't get. They're able to get those. So what did you see that was so effective about what they tried defensively?
Yeah, I thought Zvonimir is a big part of this too, especially what he did in the first half. I thought they were really dialed in the first half, just being assignment sound and not making Toppin feel as comfortable as he felt in the second half. And once he got going in that second half, and we've seen Illinois just they've thrown more pitches defensively than they did last year. The sideline out of bounds, they have the zone. They obviously made the change with Kylan. They showed a little bit with Mirk, in ball screens as well. And look, you forced 13 turnovers, and a lot of those were super timely, like you said. And it's just there's a different level of aggression that I mentioned it when they went to the stabs a little bit last year. They just didn't have time to rep it, I think, to really get a ton out of it. But it flips everybody's psychology to just be a little bit more nasty. And when you're not in a conservative defense all the time, now you can go kind of hunt steals in the gap or hunt, and do it in a way that doesn't completely, take your teammates out of it too, and take yourself out of the play. I really like that from them. And again, I'll go back to it. When you have a back line like Zvonimir, and you have really good positional guys like Jake and like Ben, and I think Merck's really good positionally. Merck's strong. And then you have this trio of guards up top that Keaton's super smart. Keaton's got great hands. Stoyakovich has the length and has the size, and Kylan has the bulldog. It's a really, honestly, it's turning into a really good makeup defensively. Now, you won't face a JT Toppin probably the rest of the year in terms of how effective he can be in the low post. I don't know. Mara looks really good for Michigan, so that's
Kaufman-Wren's pretty good.
Kaufman-Wren is obviously good, but even Toppin Kaufman-Wren has a motor. Toppin, it's just not really matched, and that's just. And I think they got like Braden and they almost have better players beyond the 2-man game that I think won't force them to throw it into Trey Kaufman-Wren 70 times in a game like it felt like with JT Toppin. So they'll definitely have other challenges this year, and it's good to see this type of situation to know that you can either do it with Kylan or you can do it. I'm sure, Dre probably wouldn't be bad in that situation either. So you got a ton of options, which allows you to do more defensively.
Illini fans, you've been hearing about our new sponsor for the past few weeks, and that's Game Day Spirit. And with all the action at Illinois, whether it's the game against Maryland this weekend, the 2 men's basketball games, volleyball as well, you got to get in there and check out their new Illini gear. In the last week, they've dropped some new Nike Quarter Zips and their new take on a Champagne classic, the House of Pain sweatshirt. You got to get in there, check these out if you're local before your next game. If you live outside, 217 area code, be sure to shop with them online at GameDaySpirit.com. They also just announced the new date of their winter stadium sale. So make sure to mark your calendars for Saturday, December 6th. For those of you who haven't been, there's a massive sale on Illini gear that takes place twice a year in Memorial Stadium. You can save big on Illini gear. Products up to 80% off, and they'll even have a selection of Fighting Illini equipment room gear, just like the players and coaches wear. You won't want to miss the stadium sale Saturday, December 6th from 9 to 1 at Memorial Stadium. Brought to you by the official fan store, the Fighting Illini Game Day Spirit. All right, it's crossover season for Illinois football and Illinois basketball, and there's some mornings where I'm trying to get to an airport for a road game or trying to get down to Champaign early for a football game. I'm racing out the door and I realize, nope, didn't even make breakfast. And that sometimes means you skip a meal, or even worse, you go to the gas station and get something greasy and you just don't feel well the rest of the day. Now I just grab a Huel ready-to-drink Black Edition. This one's my go-to because it keeps me full and focused. Each bottle's got 35 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, and 27 essential vitamins and minerals. No sugar added, gluten-free, and still under $5 a meal. Honestly, it's been a game changer. Fewer hangry mornings, I definitely get that. Smoother workouts, and I actually stay on track with my goals without stressing about what to eat. So Huel just makes healthy eating simple, whether you're busy, traveling, or just tired of skipping meals. And cool update, Huel is now in Target stores nationwide. If you want to try it out, new customers can get 15% off with our code Illini at Huel.com/Illini. That's HUEL.com/Illini. That's 15% off your first order, minimum $75 purchase. Use our code, fill out the post-checkout survey, and help support the show. Huel.com/Illini for 15% off. Speaking of options, when you're all Big Ten centers out, it's nice to have his twin brother on your team. And I mean, what value he provided, especially in that first half. 3 blocks, 7 rebounds on the game, only 2 fouls. Kudos to him and Mirkovic. I know Toppin got the best of Mirkovic sometimes, but not fouling for those guys was huge in that game. And as you said, Ben made that contribution. But man, Zvonimir is the best rim protector I've seen. He's hitting his threes right now, Mike. So even if you don't have Tommy against Alabama, we'll see about UConn. At least you have a guy there who's a high major starting caliber, high impact center.
It's becoming one of the more fascinating storylines because what you're seeing in these first 3 games is that Zvonimir belongs at the 5. That's where he's most effective. So now, what happens when Tommy gets integrated back? The luxury in all this is that they're brothers.
Yeah.
So that's we talk about that being a helpful dynamic because they both want to see each other succeed. And so Zvonimir does things that if you're tuning into a game, you're like, what sport is this? I mean, the block off the backboard for Toppin, and then to run the floor like that at 7-2 and just have the grace to have the touch off the glass on the move. That's just, there's outside of like, I don't know, at 7-2, I was gonna say Porzingis, but like that, you see that sometimes. I don't like the open floor stuff, like touch off the glass, like Wemby. Like it's so unique, and I love the fact that he's been able to. And granted, the starting and getting a little bit more usage helps with the confidence, but I want to see once Tommy gets integrated back into this, if he can keep that same level of like scale down game, but confidence in what he's doing for like some of the catch and shoot stuff. He hits some off the bounce. It should always be the rim protection with him. That should just be first and foremost. He's going to have the threat of his shooting ability. I mean, he's done it his whole career. So that's not going to be anytime he steps on the floor offensively, teams are going to have to be aware of him. But what a luxury to have. the 12 blocks in 3 games. He's 4 a game right now, and it's legitimately, they're not just like coming over from the weak side. He does that sometimes, but the amount of shots he's deterring. I mean, there's the amount of guys that are dribbling in there and dribbling right back out. It's just, you touched on it. It's something they haven't had in the Brad Underwood era.
I don't think they've ever had a Zvonimir.
No, I
Like,
mean,
there's no.
Kofi blocks shots, but
Yeah, and like Nana. I mean, you play with Nana. I freaking love Nana's defensive impact, his ability to head screens, and I think he's the leading shot blocker in Illinois history. Zvonimir, though, the rate at which he does it is unbelievable. His rim protection is the best I've ever seen in Illinois uniform.
Yeah, and Nana was so good. The difference between Nana and Zvonimir is not necessarily, the blocks are the blocks, but like Nana was really good switching 1 through 5.
Yes.
Really good. He just knew how to give leverage and how to give enough slack and space to still be in the play. And I think about our the win we had against that really good Maryland team that I think shared the league that year in 2014, 2015 with Melo Trimble, that group. I mean, Melo Trimble, we switched 1 through 5, and Nana held up, forced him in the tough shots, kept him in front, and like they would switch, and then he would have this ability to like, keep the guy in front and then go and track the ball and block it on ball. And so, but Zvonimir is more of an athlete than Nana is, and is a little bit more like nimble, and so yeah, they're similar in some ways, but Zvonimir has that like freak level to him that Nana didn't have.
Like Nana might be a better overall defender because of what
he was. Yeah,
right, what you're just talking about. But Zvonimir, just rim protection is the best I've seen. This is a Keaton Wagler podcast. We love to rave about him and his poise and IQ and all those things. I did not know the physical toughness was going to be part of the package with Keaton Wagler. Illinois has 43 offensive rebounds this year, 13 by Keaton Wagler.
Yep.
He leads the team more than double David Mirkovic, who is number 2 here. So many winning plays from this kid, and he just prolonged so many possessions, 5 offensive rebounds against Texas Tech. I don't know, have a question. It's just really impressive, Mike.
Think about how many players there are in college basketball. There's a lot. Thousands, I believe. And Keaton Wagler's top 70 in offensive rebounding percentage from the guard spot. And it's something I noticed in the Illinois State exhibition, because he got fouled twice going to the rim, going to crash the offensive glass. I just remember being like, hell yeah. Like I love just seeing that he goes, but then there's this innate ability that he has to just find the ball. Like there's some guys that are good offensive rebounders. There's some guys that aren't, and it all comes down to your ability to have the field to track where the ball is going. Like you can see the ball in the air. There's some guys that are like, yep, that's long. And if it's long, it's coming off right here. And if it's short, it's coming off right there. And if it's shot from the corner and angled a little bit more towards the backboard, it's going to hit the back rim. So odds are it's going to come off and out to the outside. Like he just knows, all where to be.
Right. And the Dennis Rodman thing in the Last Dance, he's like, ball goes there.
Yeah. And that's pretty much what Keaton does. And yeah, you talk about just the physical toughness. I think it's shown on the glass, and it's shown offensively. I think it's a little bit like Will in a sense, where I think people see him and think they can get into him, and he uses that physicality against you because he can spin off your body, he can get by you, but he's like bodying dudes.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like creating space with his shoulders. And like that's I saw some of it in practice preseason. It's another reason why I was so high on him, because he never feels like he's out of control, even when he's doing that. I mean, yeah, all the hype. It's one thing to have the hype going into the season. It's another thing to follow it up with being at that 17 point per game mark. But it's a whole nother thing to be this additive in all these other areas. That's just because it just begs the question of just like, okay, well, how much can we take him off the floor? Because he can shoot it, and he takes care of it, and he can guard, and he's right now your best offensive rebounder. I don't think the minutes are going down for Keaton Wagler. I'll say that.
Right now, he's number 2 on the team in minutes, 29.7 minutes. And I loved that Brad said the other night, he's like, even if we were fully healthy, this guy's playing, starting, playing huge minutes. Ty Rodgers is here. Mihailo Petrovic is here. He's playing huge minutes. And I love that because he just fills so many gaps. He's just such a glue guy on this team, yet he's got star potential at some point in his career. But the fact that he does all these little things is just so encouraging.
It is. And that's why when we talked about it preseason and we were saying, I mean, this is your starting point guard. I mean, this guy is going to start. And I really, and I didn't care who was like healthy or not healthy. Like he's that good. And so these type of freshmen don't come around often. Even some guys that you could look at and be like, because this is the best freshman class that I can remember in a long time. And even when you look at some of the guys that are maybe going to go top 10, top 15, top 20 in this draft, yeah, they may be super advanced athletically. They may have the ability to, drop 25, 30, and, they have that scoring upside. I think Keaton has that too. But a lot of them don't have the other traits that Keaton has that contribute to winning. So you can have a guy that's a top 15 pick in the draft, but the reason why he's top 15 may not be because he just impacts winning on a nightly basis, and Keaton does that.
Yeah. Fall always feels like a reset. Between back to school, busier routines, and shorter days, finding time to cook can be tough. That's why I love Factor. Their chef prep, dietitian approved meals make it easy to stay on track and enjoy something comforting and delicious no matter how hectic the season gets. The great thing, more variety and more meals with Factor. Choose from a wider selection of weekly meal options, including premium seafood choices like salmon and shrimp at no extra cost. Support your wellness goals as well. Enjoy even more with GLP-1 friendly meals and new Mediterranean diet options packed with protein and good-for-you fats. For more choices to better nutrition, that's why 97% of customers say that Factor helped them live a healthier life. Feel the difference no matter your routine. Eat smart at factormeals.com/Illini50off and use code Illini50off to get 50% off your first box, plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code Illini50off at factormeals.com for 50% off your first box, plus free breakfast for 1 year. Get delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered with Factor. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. One play can change a season. One upset can silence a stadium. With every snap, the stakes get higher, and no one brings you closer to the action than DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 sportsbook for live betting. From live betting to odds boost and so much more, DraftKings Sportsbook has everything you need to stay in the action from kickoff to the final whistle. New customers, this one is for you. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get paid out $300 in bonus bets instantly. Own every Saturday with DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code Illini. That's code Illini to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. Pass-through of per wager tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expires in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. All right, Colgate tonight. What would be the value of getting Mihailo Petrovic, Brandon Lee back on the court? Mihailo dressed in uniform, went through pregame warmups, was questionable. That was an upgrade, did not play. Brandon Lee, Brad Underwood said would be in uniform, so don't know if he'll play, but what would be the value of getting them on the court tonight?
The same value we saw for Stoyakovich in the Florida Gulf Coast game. Very clearly in a game that they pounced on Florida Gulf Coast early, and he could come in with low stakes and feel it out and find a rhythm like I thought he did in the second half. And the same is true for Petrovic, and the same is true for Lee. And so I'm excited for both of them. I'm just very curious, Jeremy, because for Petrovic specifically, whose minutes do you take at this point? And that's not like a slide against Petrovic. You're on a really damn good team. And you got guys that I think belong on the floor. You got guys that add to your positional size and the way you want to play offensively and the matchup hunting and everything. And so I just, and honestly, I wonder at times between Petrovic and Lee, who makes more sense with this group, right? Because you can keep stacking pieces, but if the pieces don't necessarily fit, then I think it's really going to be really interesting to monitor to see, Mihailo, who's been a guy that has had the ball in his hands a lot, triggers a lot of things like he did in the Adriatic League. Can he scale down his role? And if he does, and now you're off ball more because you want the ball in Keaton's hands, you want the ball in Kylan's hands, you want the ball in Dre's hands, in Merck's hands and stuff. Now, are you a dependable spacer? Like these are all like, this is real. It's a real question. It is.
I mean, that's a big question mark.
Yeah.
When you got a backcourt right now that looks like it's got a really high ceiling defensively with Kylan, Keaton, and Andrej.
Yeah. And I made the point before the season, but is Mihailo going to be a part of your best defensive group? Probably not. Would he be a part of your best rebounding group? Probably not. And so that right there is going to, I think, limit the time that you see on the floor. But I think you're going to have moments this year where he pops and has, a great 4 or 5 minute stretch and is a nice change up off the bench because he plays so fast. I mean, people are going to see that. I know that people haven't really been able to see him. But he's so fast. So I mentioned all these different like things to monitor and storylines. It's the cross you bear as a really, really damn good team that there's not minutes for everybody is what I'm saying. And that's what makes it difficult. Cause I think, Keaton's him coming in and going from hype to substance is, I think, what changes things a little bit.
Yeah, and I can't remember if it was you or Trotter, but the Curbelo comp is right. Like I just think he's your guy that, if Kylan's struggling to get going or Keaton gets involved, like need some offense, Mihailo Petrovic off the bench can really ignite you and provide that boost. And if he can figure out that role, settle into it, it's a nice one to have. But what that role looks like will be fascinating. And whenever Tommy comes back, it's going to be fascinating how it all kind of settles in. How much that, I mean, obviously a lot's going to be Z, but Ben Humrickhouse minutes, Davin Mirkovic minutes, like how does that all play out? The role identification is going to continue into December for this team.
Yes.
But right now, I mean, because right now it's great. It's great with the role identity. You're going to add these pieces, which is good, Mike. These are 2 of your top 6 or 7 players, but it's going to disrupt some things. We'll see if it's positively or negatively in the short term.
Yeah. And I think, again, we saw it right when he came into the opener, but Tommy's very easy to integrate and just his spacing, his passing ability, 7-1 being, I think he can anchor a defense. But it definitely begs the question, like you said, I think Zvonimir has proven at least through 3 games that he's got to play. I mean, like that's not a guy that you shelf. So if that means maybe bringing Tommy's minutes down a little bit to still have, whether it's, he was going to play 29, but he's playing 25, 24. And that means Zvonimir plays 16 minutes and you really just, those are your 2 5-men. That could be what you do. And I just think, I think Ben has earned time.
Yeah, and David's going to have to take a hit in minutes, which probably is a good thing for him, right? Like,
he'll still play. I mean, he'll still play 25, 25-ish minutes. I mean, they're going to get creative with the rotations and whatnot. And again, really good problem to have because I just think you have guys on this team, Ben being one of them, Jake, all these guys that they just want to win. And I don't think any of those guys are going to be issues if things get scaled down. Because I really think after this game in particular, now you got another chance tonight to keep things going and then you got another chance next Wednesday to really wake some people up. There's just something that about being on a team that has a chance to do something special, be a Final Four contender, all that stuff, which I think is on the table for Illinois, that guys just kind of fall in line, because it's like, I don't want to be that guy that messes this up for us or becomes a distraction or this and that. It's just, that's the beauty of having a good team that wins games. Because if you're losing now, it's you can point at a lot of different things, and keep winning and all is well.
Assuming they take care of business against Colgate.
Good team, good program, by the way.
Yeah, really good program. Gave Michigan State a lot to handle there. But we're all focused on next week, Alabama, United Center game. Alabama loses at home to Purdue, but as you said, beat St. John's. Really impressive game, really impressive backcourt. This is an opportunity, Mike, to you win this game nationally. You guys in the field of 68 talking about this team, Final Four, Big Ten title contender, all of that. But what does this team have to do to beat an Alabama team that has all that firepower?
Yeah, everyone talks about their ability to shoot it from the outside, but it's that really is code for you have to contain their dribble penetration, and that's what leads to their threes. And so whether it's Holloway or Wrightsell or particularly Phylon does such a good job of just putting you on his hip and and really navigating and creating advantages that way, where you fight over the top of the screen, and then he puts you in jail, has that hostage dribble, and then can just spray because he's either getting a big to commit to him or he's having somebody have to rotate over, and they get those corner threes or threes above the break. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Stoyakovich on him a little bit, right? And then you have Boswell just shadowing Holloway. I think Boswell's going to get his turn on Phylon for sure, but we know what Boswell did to Sears last year, and so and then I think too, on top of that, when I talk about containing the dribble penetration, it's not just in those set matchups. They play so fast that you're not going to have perfect matchups all game. So it's going to come down to the Davids, the Bens, these guys that maybe are cross-matched a little bit to hold up. So communicate, cover for each other. That's really the story. I mean, 87% of Alabama's shots are at the rim or from three. 87% of their shots. So I think they've taken five. They've taken 5 mid-range shots this year, and so you have to limit their ability to get in the paint, and then just keep yourself out of rotation and force threes over the top. You don't want to force threes off of rotation. That's when they really hurt you. But I like this Illinois team on the glass against Alabama. I think that's a place that you can really make a difference. And look, this Illinois team is proving early on that they have some mettle to them. And what an opportunity to prove that again.
How does that win over Texas Tech make you kind of view these games against Alabama, UConn, Tennessee? They got Ohio State, Nebraska, Missouri. I mean, that stretch. This is a stretch where Illinois can really, really make an impression.
I think what it does is, from a confidence standpoint, yes, people think about confidence as like, I saw the ball go through the hoop, or we got to stop and stuff. But confidence in a game plan, and confidence in, hey, this is what we prepped for. This is what we did. This is how we executed it. And then when you go on to Colgate and when you go on to Alabama, you get more and more confidence in that prep, and you get more and more confidence in being able to translate that over to the game. That's really what it comes down to, is just the ability to take what's in the film room and what's on the court and shoot around and take it over to the game. Those little details, what are your assignments? That's where the confidence builds. I told you, I think this team knows they're good. I do. And so how does that continue to show itself? What type of leap do we continue to see in these games from the freshmen? I thought David played okay in the game. It wasn't it was, to this point, it was his worst game, which is double figures against Texas Tech. And
we brought it up after the game. I was like, a minus on this game was, I didn't think David Mirkovic played great, and he still had 11 points and 4 rebounds, a couple steals, but that's his low point. That's a great thing, but he didn't even play his best game. So if you can get a better game against Alabama, boy.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think that's on the table, and he's going to have to, and maybe this really opens up Illinois' turbo game as well when they get into a flow against a team like Alabama who wants to play fast too. It's just you can't. You know what, Jeremy? This is what I'm looking for. Now that you mention it, this game is going to try to force you. Is going to almost force you to be lax defensively because it is going to have so much pace to it. So how do you manage that, and how do you compartmentalize both ends? Because it's going to be so free flowing and getting up and down. And we saw that with the 23-24 team, where like sometimes when they got in those up and down situations and ball was going through the hoop and this feels great, like the defense suffered. So can you just, keep the main thing defensively, and then go over to the offensive end, play with your pace too. So that's going to be, I think, the one of the biggest challenges in this game.
Thank you to Brad Underwood for scheduling this way. This is fun.
Thanks, Brad.
This is way more fun.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Just going through like 12 out of 13 being bye games, Mike. This is cool.
It's awesome.
All right, Mike LaTulip, you're the goods, man. Appreciate the insight as always. We'll catch up next week after a huge Alabama game, man.
All right, man. Appreciate you.